Hi, welcome to the Let Go Movement podcast. My name's Akeisha, and I've got a very exciting series coming up for you guys. The core of you, how to unblock your intuition and creative flow. This is a conversation that a lot of people come to me for, is connecting with themselves, their intuition, how to talk to their body, how to get back that creative flow. If you're someone who often feels and sees themselves as the black sheep in society or their family, like I often have in my life, and struggles to build that connection with yourself that's unwavering and totally grounded, and you know that you are connected to your intuition, you are in the right space. If at any moment you felt like other people can do it, why can't I? Or I know it's there, but something's just cutting it off. Maybe you're stuck currently, you don't know who or what to listen to, and at this point, perhaps you're totally second guessing your intuition and wondering if it even exists really, and can you even trust it? Or maybe you're asking for it to speak louder, like you know it's there, but you just don't know how to listen to it, how to communicate with it, and you're feeling a little lost. You want to get to the space that where tapping into your intuition is a totally normal process and a connection point for you, and ultimately the guidance you've always been seeking for. I encourage you to come along on this journey, and the steps that we're going to walk you through in this series are very practical steps and techniques and modalities to help you cultivate that connection, because each of us has our own way of connecting and we use tools in different ways. This series is about deepening your connection with yourself, tapping into your inner wisdom, and letting that creativity flow. So what to expect in this series? Well, we're going to go through understanding common blocks to intuition, like what are the common things that tend to block that communication. We're going to dive into some daily practices to develop intuitive awareness. And these are very practical practices. We're going to go into recognizing the signs of misalignment and what to do when we start to recognize them, and some of the techniques to realign and open up that creativity flow, open up that communication flow. These are techniques that can be used on your own or with a practitioner coach. And they're ultimately just to open you up to even more of yourself, accessing more of your consciousness. So I do talk about intuition and creativity. They are linked. And when we are in communication with our intuition, our higher self, God, source, however you want to put it, when we're in communication with our body, this is where we create our life from. That creative, generative energy is completely coming from the same source. You know, when you're cut off from your creativity, it often means you're not actually flowing with your intuition and you're getting a little bit too mental, or you're putting up some blocks and barriers. We want to have the creativity flow. We want that open channel, because your life is a creation of your points, views, thoughts and feelings, emotions, what you believe, the identity that you have. Your current life, how you perceive things, how you go about the world, it's all a creation from you. So if you're not creating that from a sense of connection to your inner self, you're creating that with outside sources. Outside sources can come in and contribute to the creation of your world, but we first need to just take a second here and realize that we create our realities. So that creativity flow, when we're connected to our higher self and we're receiving those downloads, we're receiving that guidance, we're receiving those nudges, we're following those nudges, we're following those random thoughts that seem totally light to us but have no logical sense to them. We're following them and allowing the path to unfold, and thus creating and that creativity to flow through us. So if you're ready to unlock new levels of self-awareness and creativity, hit that thumbs up so that I know you're on board. The first thing we're going to look at is what might be blocking your intuition in the first place. Now, before we dive deeper, I want to invite you to claim a 30-minute mini session with me. Together, we're going to explore a specific area of your life, identify what's blocking your progress, and offer some ways to continue to clear those barriers, if not with me or for someone else, so you can move forward, lighter, more aligned, and empowered. So I'll put that link below, but I just wanted to make sure while I have you here that I just let you know to claim your 30-minute mini session with me. Okay, so let's go into the common blocks, because we need to understand that, first of all, your intuition never, ever stops talking to you, ever. We've just learned how to block that connection. We've learned how to dim that voice. We've learned through society and upbringing to not listen to that. So we have some things that can easily create some blockages. And when we start to recognize and become aware of these blockages, that's step one in clearing the past so that we can begin to make connection. And I'm not going to promise that when you do these works, when you do these tools, all of a sudden your life is going to, change magically overnight and you've, won the lottery or whatnot, although it can happen. This is a consistent, daily, lifelong process. And when you create and you remove these blocks, and I say create because sometimes we recreate them for ourselves, but when we remove them, when we clear them, when we become aware of them, when we become aware of something coming up for us, and we shift it, we shift the energy, we get clear, something else down the road is going to come up. And it's not to be seen as like, oh, I did this. I already got through this. I already know this. No, these are just moments where you're like, okay, cool, this is coming up again. What do I need to know? Is this fear? Is this doubt? Is this a distraction? Is this like more conditioning that's coming up to the surface? Because as you clear, you actually start to unpack the layers. And so becoming aware of what might be blocking it is step one. So what are these common blocks? So first of all, fear and doubt. It's the easiest thing to do to create people not connecting to their intuition is create fear and doubt. So first of all, we've been taught to fear intuition because it could lead us down the wrong road. And we've been taught to doubt it because it's not 100% accurate for every person. And that's the thing. We live in a society that wants black and white. We live in a society that wants everything to fit a certain formula. And if anything goes out of that, we can't be trusted. That can't be trusted. You got to doubt that. That's not right. I don't think so, right? So we've learned to have fear and doubt. And fear is the greatest manipulation tool out there. When you create fear towards something, you won't move towards it. When we can ask the question, is this fear coming up? Is this doubt? Are we overthinking? Overthinking creates doubt 100%. Self-doubt, fear of being wrong. These all can shut down that communication line. And that communication is trying to communicate with you, but you're just not picking up the phone, you're putting up all the walls and barriers. So when we start to recognize that this could be fear, this could be self-doubt or doubt itself, we got to go into question. And I love this awareness that you hear a lot that we need to get back to being heart-centered. And heart-centered is this amazing space where your world gets emitted from your heart. The heart itself is the largest outputter of your magnetic field. And it communicates with the brain 60 times more often than the brain communicates to the heart. So when we are stopping that joy, passion, love, that essence of who we be, when we dim that, when we start to block that, we also block the communication that's trying to go from heart to brain. And we get mental. And you've heard people say that perhaps this world is a mental world, but when we're too mental, we aren't connecting to us. We are operating off of a system, a computer, that only knows what it knows, and it's not open to possibility, solutions. Solutions come, creativity comes from being, connected to that intuition, getting those downloads, being open, being expressive. But when we fear that, when we doubt that, we start to block things. Being overwhelmed and distractions in general, being overstimulated can shut you down because you don't know how to open yourself to that stimulus and let it flow through you. It can create mental disconnect. And so we get mental, a lack of mental clarity. We're not able to process things the same way or as fast as we need to. We get overwhelmed and we shut things off. But it's just a distraction. And it's a way of, again, shutting off. when we recognize that you might be overwhelmed, we can then take this information and make different choices. Or distractions, right? Like how many distractions are in your life that aren't allowing you to connect with you? And I've got some great tools coming up where we can minimize distractions and connect with ourselves right from the get-go of the day. And this is really important. We have more distractions in life now than we did like 30 years ago. And when we can become aware of what these distractions are in our life, and again, be open to asking the questions, is this serving my life? Is this creating a disconnect in my world? Am I shutting things off because I'm distracted? So for example, I got off Instagram in April. I had to ask some questions about this platform, and I chose at this moment in life to remove that distraction from my phone and from my daily interactions. And it's giving me a lot. And it also gave me a lot more time to chat with myself. It gave me a lot more time to read fun books. It gave me a lot more time to just be present with my surroundings. That actually helped me clear up some mental clarity and space to actually process some things. Another really common block is societal conditioning. And this one starts when we are kids. There is a lot to unpack here, but basically we're taught to rely on logic over feeling and how that blocks intuitive impulses. So when we are conditioned to think, know the answer, have the conclusion, we stop the process of possibility. We stop this feels really good, let's go there. And some people are really great. If you've lived in more of a creative household, that was encouraged for you to go with your feeling, what's your gut telling you. But for the most of us, the mainstream way of growing up is think. A and B have to equal C in order for you to take the right decision. But sometimes in most of life, it's not logical, it's illogical, it's impulsive, and we follow those impulses and we go, and that's the joy of all of it. And yes, you can bring logic into it, and yes, you can have an element and a degree of analyzing, but ultimately you have to follow what's light for you. And when we are not encouraged to follow what's light for us, we block those intuitive yeses, those intuitive no's, those, hey, we need more information here. We just go straight to that's not enough, nope, and we cut it off. And then there's more in societal conditioning because that determines how you think about something. So if we're getting the intuitive or the thoughts of maybe there's something different here. Maybe this isn't my path, but you've been taught that ABC is the only way to go about life. You're just going to shut all that awareness off. And you're going to say, nope, that's wrong. So the next one is another big topic. And you can go to my episode where I talk about emotions. But when we don't process our emotions also, that stuck energy can cloud our intuition and make it hard for us to tune in, to listen, because we're not processing energy fully the way that we can. So now that we know what some of the common blocks to your intuition are, I want you to take some time and do some self-reflecting. This is really important because this is the step towards awareness. When we become aware of what could be causing it, and then we take that, translate it into our life, and start to ask, okay, well, where is this coming up for me? You start to unravel the things that are blocking you, and you begin to create that communication process. So, is there fear in your life? Are you doubting something? Where do you feel overwhelmed? What distractions are you going towards or that are coming up when you think about XYZ? So when, for example, on this one, I can often get myself into distractions by going into social medias or watching videos instead of actually tuning into my creative process to create content for my audience. Or I'm getting distracted in conversations when I don't really want to have the conversation that I want to have. You know what I mean? What societal conditionings could be at play here that are keeping you from following what you're desiring? what are those thoughts, feelings, emotions? What emotions are coming up when you think about XYZ? Write them down, because all these little nuggets start to clear the way, and though it's going to make the steps we're going to talk about in the next video, how to develop daily awareness and start to develop that daily communication and connection with your intuition a lot easier. Just let yourself kind of free write this. If you want some extra encouragement, tell me what area of life or some things that are coming up for you. Drop them down in the comments below so I can add some energy and encourage you on. And this first step of asking what could be blocking is a step you're constantly going to come back to no matter where you are in your journey of connecting with yourself. Because to be totally honest, something's going to come up, and it's when we don't question it or don't become aware of it that it then starts to create something else in our world. And we don't want that. We want to be aware, connected, and in total communication with our higher self, our knowing, be grounded in what's right and light for us, and let everything else go. Now that we know what can block your intuition and your ability to listen to it, it's time to learn how to tune in daily and begin to develop a strong relationship with that inner knowing, those nudges, those downloads, and that communication with your higher self. So get ready for the next episode where we're going to explore ways to develop intuitive awareness as part of our everyday life. Thank you so much for tuning in today. See you in the next episode.